Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are back in the house, not in the greenhouse, going on another video with our Windowsill Phalaenopsis orchids. I have been working with these guys indoors this winter because it's just, my greenhouse I found was a little bit too cold for them. Phals are really a warm growing plant and my temps were just getting a little bit too cold, and last year I got some cold damage, so this year I always wanted to prevent that, so they're all in the house. I did on the last video, I promised you that we would water these guys together. So I think one of the last videos I did with you, I'm going to bring this guy to the front instead of to the back. Here is our orchid that we repotted together that we didn't actually remove him from the pot. Remember, we just gently kneaded away all the moss and the bark in between the roots and left him just as he was because there were too many roots going in and out of all the holes to repot him. Well, an update for you, he's doing really well. He's in bloom here. He's got a second spike coming out the other side that is also in bloom, or sorry, in bud. And yeah, so today we're just going to water these guys. Now, of course, there's two methods. The first one is very obvious, and you don't have to bring it to the kitchen sink to do it. You can just simply use your watering can and give it a water wherever it is, whatever location it's at. Now, this is good, and this is what I do most of the time, and I just give it a slight drink. And there is where you can see, or there's why I only give it a slight drink, because the water just comes right out of these pots. So I do have them in little saucers, but unfortunately the saucers can't sit full of water. So you can really only water a Phalaenopsis or other orchid that's in the house minimally when it's sort of on its shelf. So I don't want to be getting water all over the floor, and I certainly don't want to be filling up the saucers they're sitting in with water. So the other alternative, and I do this probably once a month, I water them like I just showed you once a week, just with a little trickle, just to keep them moist. But once a month, I need to give them a good drink. So two ways to do that. One, of course, is just put it right in the sink. I'm working at the kitchen sink here. So we'll turn that a little bit. And we can just turn it on. I like to put it on the spray there. Adjust it so it's just a nice neutral sort of temperature. Not warm, not cold. And give it a real good soaking. Let it run right through. And this is the proper way to water an orchid. What you want to do is flush out all the salts and the minerals that are built up in there. Make sure all the roots have a chance to get wet. And sometimes I just like to run it just like that. Not get the leaves wet at all. Other times I like to give the leaves a bit of a watering as well. It's good for them to get the dust off the leaves. And just keep making adjustments there. The only thing that happens when you water them like that is you get water in the crown sometimes. So I recommend just taking a little piece of paper towel after and just dabbing it in the crown just to make sure no water stays in the crown. You don't have to do anything other than just hold it in there for a second and it will actually just wick up the water. And that one is good and watered. So I'm going to set him back up on my little tray. I have a special drying tray, a dish drying tray, especially for my orchids. That way any of the water can just run off and back down into the sink. So let's look at this guy again here. I'll turn him this way just because he has the best shot of the actual media that way. And flowers over that way, spikes heading over the other direction there. Now the other option, this guy I can't really put in the sink because the flower spikes are going too horizontal. So all I need to do in this case is just actually water him right on the tray here, give him a good drink, and what happens is the water is just going to roll right back into the sink. No harm at all, not making any kind of mess, and we give him a really good soak that way. Once you give them a soak like this, they're good for usually a week or two anyways before they really start to dry out. I like to do this method, and I think the orchids like it as well. Here is another one that desperately needs a repot. I'm going to have to repot it the same way I repotted the last one that we did together. This guy's not going to be able to probably come out of the pot, but I thought I would give him a water with you as well and just sort of show you how I wet the roots down. Another option would be take it and just do it in the shower. but give it a good soaking. And you can see on these roots here how a dry root that's thirsty is a sort of a silvery color. And once they've had water touch them and they're drinking or they're not so thirsty anymore, they're going to turn green. Now I like to keep doing it till all the roots are green. The one that's going straight up is a little bit hard to water. But we give them a good drink there, and you can see how all the roots are turning green. And that is how I do the watering for most of my Phalaenopsis orchids in the house. The other thing that we do, usually after a good drink, is give them a bit of fertilizer. So I'm going to do that with you guys as well. I've already got my watering can here in the sink. It is pretty much full of water. I filled it just before I started the video. Excuse my reach. Today we are just using this. I do not have a preference for orchid fertilizer. I just use whatever I have. This is an all-purpose. It is a 24-8-16 Miracle Grow multi-purpose formula. I bought it because it was cheap and comes in a big tub. I've used all kinds of orchid fertilizers over the years. Some of them seem to last forever. Some of them I go through in just like one season. None of them give really any more noticeable results than the next ones. I know other people will have more to say about that than me, but I've just found for what works for me is just a regular old fertilizer. It comes with the scoop. I'm using the smaller scoop for the inside plants. I have about a 1-gallon watering can here. So I'm going to throw that in there, put my scoop back in. When I'm watering outside with the big watering can, I use a full scoop of the other on the other side there. Just close that back up. As I said, this is almost full. So do that. Now, because it's only a small hole, and because it is needs to be stirred, I use my little stir stick here, and I put it in, and I give everything a stir. And this just spins, and it gives everything a nice mix up. There we go, that should probably be good. Put that off to the side there. And now you only want to fertilize your orchids when they're wet. You never want to fertilize a dry orchid. And I give them a good soak with the fertilizer water. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's just a hint of blue to the water. It's not a strong blue, just a hint of blue. I'm just doing the one in the background there, the third one. And I like to give them a very good soaking of the fertilizer. Now I usually bring in a total dissolved solids meter to do this. I forgot it today. It's out in the greenhouse. It's dark. I'm not going back out there for that tonight. But I use upwards at this point. I've been working my dose up slowly, and I use about 800 parts per million of total dissolved solids in my water. I've gone up over the years and just slowly increased the doses with no ill effects. Now I'm not saying to overdose, and if you don't have a TDS meter or a total dissolved solids meter, make sure you err on the lighter side than the heavier side. But I've even gone up to 1,000 parts per million of fertilizer. It sounds like a lot, but it seems to work well, and that's really just the normal dose on the package. I don't cut the dose in half anymore. I used to, but that is how I water my orchids. That is how I fertilize my orchids, at least in the house here. And that's what works for me. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a really easy way to water all your orchids. What I'm going to do now is end the video. I'll take these 3 back because they've had a chance to drip. I'll sit them back in their saucer. I'll grab 3 more, bring them over, give them a hose down, water them. The water just runs off. Everything stays clean and dry. Give them a bit of the fertilizer water I just made up, and we will be good to go. So I hope you like this third video in growing Windowsill Phalaenopsis. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe to my channel. And as always, thanks for watching. So I'm really excited about this one too. It has got a few stalks on it. There's some blooms over here. Another one coming out sideways from this one that I cut. It's got a new bloom spike coming out right here, and it has a new bloom spike coming out underneath. So I have a total of 2 that I cut and are reblooming, and 2 new blooms. So this orchid, this phal, has 4 bloom spikes on it right now. Anyways, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.